Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today, we are setting the stage for a truly eye-opening exploration. We're going to peel back the curtain on the invisible world of data analysis. Because, every single day as we browse, shop, and just live our modern lives, there is a massive architecture of algorithms quietly operating in the background. It's secretly leveraging our personal data in ways most of us literally can't even begin to imagine. So, we're going to explore how these systems actually work, how they can adopt our very human flaws, and ultimately, what all of this means for the future of our privacy.
Okay, let's dive into this with a question that honestly sounds like it's pulled straight from a science fiction movie, but it is actually a famous, real-world case study. How did a major retail store figure out a high school teenager was pregnant before she even told her own father?
Section 1. The Target Prediction Story, Decoding Shopping Habits.
So, to answer how that store knew, we really have to look at how retailers view our habits. They know human shopping routines are deeply, deeply ingrained. But there are these brief windows in a person's life when those routines are completely upended and brand loyalties are totally up for grabs. And having a baby is perhaps the absolute biggest one. Well, Target's data analysts figured out that the exact moment when these habits drastically change is right during a woman's second trimester. If Target could identify expectant mothers precisely during this window, they could send them custom offers and basically win their loyalty for years to come. By digging into the purchasing histories of women who are known to be pregnant, like through baby registries, they found that these women started buying larger quantities of exactly 25 specific products at the beginning of their second trimester. And we aren't just talking about diapers here. We're talking about seemingly random items like unscented lotion and certain vitamin supplements. By tracking those exact 25 products, Target created a highly accurate pregnancy prediction score for every single customer in their database.
Which brings us to the climax of our story, the coupon reveal. Because Target's predictive model was so incredibly confident, the store's automated systems just started mailing out promotional flyers for cribs and baby clothes. And one of these flyers arrived at a house addressed to a high school girl. Well, her father was furious. He marched into his local Target complaining that the store was inappropriately sending baby coupons to his teenage daughter and basically encouraging teenage pregnancy. The store manager, as you'd expect, apologized profusely. But here's the kicker. A few days later, the father called back to apologize himself. It turned out his daughter actually was pregnant. She just hadn't told her family yet. The algorithm, looking purely at her shopping data, knew before her own father did.
Section 2. Footprints versus Digital Shadows, the Unseen Data Collection. That Target story naturally begs the question, how do these predictive systems get so much information about us in the first place? Well, it comes down to a sharp contrast between what we think we are sharing and what is actually being tracked. Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the difference between our footprint and our shadow. We all know about our digital footprint, right? That's the info we willingly and knowingly post online, the photos we upload, the comments we leave, the emails we send. But our digital footprint is literally just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath the surface is something much, much larger, our digital shadow.
A digital shadow is generated entirely out of our control. It's data collected about you without your explicit knowledge or active consent. It's just the byproduct of everyday modern existence. When you walk around with a smartphone in your pocket, location metadata is constantly pinging cell towers. When you use an ATM or scan a loyalty card at the supermarket or even just wait in a smart parking lot, data is being harvested. You weren't actively hitting publish anywhere, but a detailed record of your movements and habits is being written anyway.
And this data isn't just sitting in isolated silos either. Algorithms act like an invisible hand, constantly reaching out and connecting these totally separate data points from our digital shadows. It's like a giant puzzle. They aggregate a location ping here, a credit card swipe there, and a website visit over there. By stitching these seemingly unrelated fragments together, data science models assemble incredibly complex, highly accurate, and intimately revealing personal profiles of each and every one of us.
Section 3. When Algorithms Inherit Bias, the Myth of Mathematical Objectivity.
Now, the power of these profiles isn't just a privacy concern, it's absolutely an ethical one. We really need to shift our focus from just privacy to the concept of fairness. There's this very dangerous misconception out there that because data analysis and machine learning are based on math, they must be inherently neutral and perfectly objective. But algorithms do not just calculate, they learn. And what do they learn from? They learn from the historical data we feed them. If an algorithm is trained on data generated by a historically biased and flawed human society, it doesn't just magically sanitize that data. Instead, it will inevitably learn those existing human biases. And honestly, it gets worse. Because it applies them at a massive scale, it can replicate and even amplify those biases, all under the disguise of mathematical objectivity.
Just look at the results of this academic study analyzing Google's advertising system.
Researchers created a set of simulated user profiles. The only difference between them, half were designated as male and half as female. The researchers found that the algorithm displayed advertisements for high-paying executive jobs far more frequently to the male profiles than to the female profiles. The code itself wasn't deliberately written to be discriminatory, but by optimizing for patterns in historical human behavior, where men historically held more of these executive roles, the algorithm adopted and perpetuated that exact same gender bias.
Section 4. Predictive policing and discrimination. When code targets neighborhoods.
This issue becomes even more critical when these algorithms are deployed in high-stakes environments, like law enforcement. Predictive policing tools, such as a program known as predpol, are data-driven systems used by police departments to forecast exactly where crimes are most likely to occur. Now, on the surface, optimizing police resources sounds incredibly efficient, right? But it comes with severe ethical and social consequences. These predictive programs generate daily reports highlighting specific boxes on a city map, measuring just 500 by 500 feet, where the algorithm says a crime is highly likely to happen. Police officers are then directed to heavily patrol these exact 500-foot squares, based entirely on historical crime data.
Let's move to these steps and see how this builds, because this creates a highly problematic feedback loop. Step 1. You feed old historical crime data into the predictive system. Because historically marginalized or lower-income neighborhoods have often been over-policed, the historical data reflects a higher rate of recorded crime there. Step 2, the algorithm reads this data and sends current police units to heavily patrol those exact same neighborhoods today. Step 3, because there is a massive police presence in that 500-foot box, they naturally observe and record more infractions, which makes arrest rates rise in that specific area. This new data is then fed back into the machine, which seemingly confirms to the algorithm that it was right all along. It creates this terrible self-fulfilling prophecy where neighborhoods are targeted not based on individual actions, but on a mathematical loop of over-policing.
Section 5. The Future of Privacy. Walking the Ethical Tightrope.
When we zoom out and look at all of this together, targets predictions, digital shadows, biased job ads, and predictive policing, we realize we are walking a very delicate ethical tightrope. We have to figure out how to balance the undeniable technological conveniences and security benefits of data science with our fundamental human right to privacy and fairness. And the stakes? They're getting higher because the technology is getting better. Data science can now infer incredibly sensitive, deeply personal details about you that you never explicitly shared. For example, studies have shown that algorithms can accurately deduce your intelligence level, discover your political and religious views, predict if you have addictive behaviors involving alcohol or drugs, and even reveal your sexual orientation. How? Literally just by analyzing completely unrelated, seemingly harmless likes on social media. Liking a specific brand of shoes or a random page can be mathematically correlated to your absolute most private traits.
So the crucial point is this ultimate dilemma. On one hand, analyzing massive datasets can lead to absolutely incredible breakthroughs. It can improve medical research, help plan smarter, more efficient cities, and catch fraudsters. But on the exact same token, the same technology, if left unchecked, risks turning our lives into a complete surveillance state where our behaviors are constantly monitored, our futures are predicted, and our opportunities are limited by invisible, biased code.
Which leaves us with this final thought for today's explainer. As you go about your day-to-day, as you swipe your card, carry your phone, and browse the web, ask yourself, what does your digital shadow say about you? And perhaps more importantly, who is analyzing it right now? Thanks for joining me on this deep dive into the data that defines us. Keep questioning the invisible algorithms around you, and I'll see you in the next explainer.